Alright, so welcome back to Community Challenge. We've got event number 9 for 2024. qeast backing up. He's already played a game versus myself and is now playing against indoors. So qeast here, the yellow trunks. It's the Romans. Looks like he's going to go for a early storehouse and an early barracks. Judging by the fact that he's got all these wood gatherers. So today he's up against indoors. Looks like Verada might be able to come along for a game after this too. If Poethi's late. Which would be nice, so we might get in to play qeast or myself. So indoors today, playing the red trunks, as the Greeks, lower side of the map. We're on Swamp Pass, so we've got these two little ponds that'll have a few fish in them. I don't think these little ponds here in the center actually have any fish. They may do, but you know, it's a little bit out of the way. It doesn't really justify having docks there. So our players indoors going for double storehouse here. Oh, he's been a bit unlucky with the hunt seed, so he's gone really far forward here. qeast on the other hand, barracks, be able to spear us his opponent pretty easily because both these hunts here for indoors are quite a way forward. And it does look like he does have a safer hunt off to the side, but he's just unlucky not to find it. So qeast will be going to try and scout out where his opponent's hunt is. So indoors in the meanwhile, spend that little bit more wood getting two storehouses, so he'll not be able to go for the barracks till about right now, and even still he might be looking to just put it towards a dock. He's going to go for the barracks. It's a little bit delayed. Alright, so yeah, qeast does have the earlier spears. Might be able to get a villager of indoors here. Let's be big if he does. Oh, qeast just shouldn't let it go. So good control there by indoors to keep the villager alive. qeast bringing more spears. He's not actually producing anything at the moment though. He needs to finish up a house. So he's going to queue up another spearman instead of a villager there. Maybe smart depending on how this is going to go. Indoors sucked into getting spearmen of his own and getting off the hunt. So this will cost him a bit of gather time. Although he might look at going for the hunt over here. He's over gathered a bit of wood at the moment, but does mean he can sort of just send everything to the food. Maybe send it to the wood and the stone a little bit later, and just for now make sure he can afford spearmen and villagers non-stop. qeast able to take out this hunt. I'm ahead a little bit in terms of his gather rate, but he is down by 2 villagers, even though indoors hasn't actually attacked him at all. Okay, so it's about 1.5 villagers actually. So qeast is actually economically behind in spite of being the aggressor here, having taken no damage and costing his opponent some resources. And yeah, it's 2 really low villagers he wasn't able to quite kill there. Smart of indoors to get them out when he did, but I do think qeast did have an opportunity to kill them, or at least one of them. Indoors with a quick age up. qeast pop capped, might be able to go for age 2 here. Gonna attempt to go in on the wood line. Really wants to try and snipe that villager if you can. 6 health, like that's 1 attack. And this gold gatherer here, she's not really safe. Like there is a safer gold over there as well. But this is nice storehouse placement here. Indoors, trying to tie up a bit of time with the scout. Careful not lose it there. Age up's kicked in now. He's nearly got the stone for a second TC, and he's actually fit in a range here. His qeast. He's going Bronze Age. Getting more spears at the moment, but he's going to want to interrupt this range from finishing. And he will have to deal with Hypaspis very soon. He really needs to focus down individual villages here if he can. Well, indoors, just needs to make sure he garrisons things in time, not losing any villages. Well, it does look like he is going to lose a couple. Oh, he does lose one. I think he garrisoned the other there, so his timing's pretty good. He's keeping these guys out of the fight for the time being. Maybe he could have brought them in. 20 vills to 20, so qeast made up for his shoddy macro with getting a couple of vill kills here. He's getting the stone for a second TC. Neither player's opted to go for any water at this stage. So indoors needs a lot of wood. There's town centre. qeast needs a little bit of stone. Indoors hasn't finished up that barracks yet either. qeast able to produce legionaries. They were a good match for the Hypaspists. Most would probably argue a slightly better unit. Indoors hasn't actually noticed this half-completed bit. There we go. Going to finish off the barracks now. The archery range now. So qeast with just the Castellum, he'll have to be careful. Try and get either an auxiliary camp or praetorium. Town centre going up for qeast now. Indoors would have been able to see it though. The scout's dying. So he'll see that on the mini-map. "22 villages to 24, so qeast's taking the lead at the moment with that. Does need to make sure he's producing spears. I mean, legionaries, not spears. Against the Hypaspis, worry about getting spears if he actually sees the stables from the Greek player, which is unlikely until he actually gets some slingers of his own. He wants to bring the spears in too. And even still, like spear versus Hypaspis, this is not a great fight for qeast. He does have greater numbers here, but the Hypaspis, they've got that amazing damage and armor. So indoors will actually be able to turn this fight for value, I think. So indoors going for his second TC now. qeast has already finished up. 27 villages to 26 in favour of qeast at the moment. He's lost a lot of military there, but he does lead on population still. He does just need to look at getting more legionaries. And maybe even adding a... probably go Praetorium and just get Decurions at this stage. He's forced a lot of Hypaspis out. Toxotes are on the way. He can dictate his opponent's comp. Well, indoors it's tough trying to play around your bowmen, your Toxotes in a matchup like this. Like Romans, got a very heavy cavalry unit that will just destroy them in a couple of hits. They do have access to slingers. So they're not one of the matchups where having the bigger bow backline is necessarily the way to win. So qeast's unsuccessful in getting a kill here, but I guess he does know about what's going on here, and also started to go for the water. Indoors hasn't done the same just yet. 36 vills to 32 in favour of qeast. Indoors does have the double TC set up now, so he's quite safe. Access to the 2 gold mines. Gonna have to move out to get a bit more food, but for now he's able to just creep forward. More Toxotes, especially. The qeast. Praetorium and auxiliary camp. Another Castellum. Needs a bit more gold though. He's getting these guys back to work. Indoors starting to creep ahead in terms of overall army size at the moment. 42 to 39 eco. So Indoors actually one pop up on the military. He's looking to try and push. Indoors, crept forward, just camping some resources at the moment. But I think qeast is going to go for a bit more of a push into something here. Ooh, that village is probably going to fall. Same time, Indoors is going to try and get on top of the hunt here. We'll be able to get a couple of villages. And the Toxotes, ooh, they are focusing down the scout instead of the infantry there. There's a slinger in tow, but Indoors having to try and retreat now. I know he's going to stick around, maybe get another villager or two. Toxotes will be able to kite the legionaries really well until there's a good slinger count to back this up. Or even a couple of decurions here. So a few of those on the way, a few slingers on the way. Indoors, I think overall these fights have been favouring him. qeast does have that fishing economy going here, so his food eco is really, really good. But qeast needs to make sure he fights with everything at once. Doesn't just throw away units for free here. Indoors being able to retreat quite easily there. Indoors creeping ahead in terms of population. qeast need to add another house. Got plenty of wood in the bank. Needs to get a bit more gold. Let's have that good food eco with the fishing. Indoors in the meanwhile probably could do looking for some fishing himself, or to try and push qeast off the fishing at least. 44 vills to 44, and Indoors having to transition to farm, so this will eat up a bit of wood, maybe a bit of gold as well if he goes for plough. Gonna add an armory. qeast already has an armory at the moment, but no upgrades. Trying to add another auxiliary camp, just to make sure he's got the houses to keep reducing, because he has slipped up a little bit there. 44 to 47 in favour of Indoors now. So just having a cleaner economy, even for like 10 to 15 seconds, can really change the outcome of the game. I know it's starting to stutter a little bit for some reason. I don't like it. qeast going for age 3 here, but right now Indoors is creeping ahead on population, and Greeks are a great civ for sitting in age 2 while your opponent takes age 3 and just pushing, because you've got a bigger population, because you've just got a better rounded out unit composition. Like Toxotes deal more of a frontline damage than slingers do. Slingers attacking anything other than the counter are pretty crappy. Tox attacking anything other than the counter generally good, except for maybe attacking decurions. Just because of their huge health pool, but even still, against most of the other melee cavalry, they're actually quite solid. 3 spears, gonna try and defend here, but they're actually gonna get chipped away by the decurions before they even reach their spot. But I wouldn't leave these here, qeast. You're gonna have to get them out of there. That's a big loss if they do stick around. Indoors pushing forward, and he just pulled ahead on population, but I think he's overstayed his welcome before taking the engagement here. qeast able to actually kill a good number of the the Toxotes with his slingers. Indoors going for age 3 now. qeast has already had his finish up. Indoors has quite a number of idlers at the moment. Eco Pop favouring Indoors at 58 to 47. qeast is going to have to add a lot of houses here, but at the same time, his military pop is much, much larger than Indoors. Come on, big fella, just add a house or two. Keep that production rolling. Indoors, in the meanwhile, is age 3 on the way, but he desperately needs to get a bit more gold, man. Come on, get a couple of these guys on the gold. You can turn this around. Get back into having a population lead. The carry on. Still got a little bit of health. They do hit quite hard as well. But indoors, he's getting away with a little bit of production here. I think qeast could actually stop this. qeast extending perhaps a bit here. He needs to actually bring the rest of his army if he wants to clean this up here and now. Indoors in the meanwhile, getting temper on the way now. And some armor upgrades here from qeast. Indoors transitioning to a lot of farms here. Now he's adding plow as well. He's going to look at trying to bring everything, but he does need a bit more of a front line here. Doesn't want the slingers just focusing down the storehouse. qeast does have a few idlers here and probably could do with some more storehouses here. But right now he is up in terms of army pop against indoors, who doesn't really have anything in the way of age 3 upgrades. Does have the hoplites there, but that's about it. And there's not a good number of toxotes here. The qeast needs to make sure he's bringing everything here. And he does have the armory upgrades. And now indoors has finished off most of his too. He's got basically all of them. So all he's lacking is range damage at the moment. So Aquilifer on the way. The qeast indoors just getting more infantry at this point. qeast could look at adding some bowmen into the mix here. I really think he'd benefit from those. There we go, so bowman production here from qeast indoors. qeast got a couple of idle Decurions here, he wants to bring them into the fight. H3 TC going up. Indoors getting his as well, really quite stacked around the base here. So all 3 TCs shadowing a lot of military production there. Keeping both quite safe. The Slinger backline here really well outnumbers the range backline of anything here for indoors, so qeast really quite scary, forcing out Sari production. So he's going to want to make sure he's got some spears of his own now rather than when he had them in 10 minutes ago and didn't really need them. Sorry, man. Sorry, the mute. No, not mute. The sound button's slightly lower than it should have been. But qeast coming forward now. He's got to make sure he doesn't let indoors mass up too many Saris here if he wants to keep this backline safe. Well, he also wants to make sure he keeps the backline of indoors thinned out. And GG! qeast takes the game over indoors. That's a nice Roman play there by qeast. I think that might actually be his first community challenge win. Oh, I had the wrong UI there, sorry guys. But qeast victorious today.